Hey everybody, it's Be Free Friday. I wanted to share something with you all this week that's kind of near and dear to me that many of you have probably heard me say with my kids, or even told you about this analogy. A friend of mine was going through some counseling a few years ago, and she learned about this, and it's been just so applicable in my life and in the life of my kids. And I'm all about some practical application. So I wanted to share this with you, and I hope that it'll mean something for you all as well. It's really all about boundaries and borders. It's about fences. It's about not getting into other people's business and being selective at who you let get into your business. A friend of mine, we were walking and talking earlier this week, and we were talking about just being kind of over the whole feeling of being judged, and then also talking about our own issues with having a critical heart or a critical mind towards others. And it just made me think about this, and so led me to wanting to share with you. I don't know if you have problems with knowing where your boundaries should be or your borders should be, or we always have those people in our lives that we're like, man, they're just toxic and they bring me down and they weigh me down. And don't you wonder sometimes if people feel that way about you? I know I feel that way sometimes, but each of us has our own yard. You have a yard, I have a yard. Everybody has a yard. And of course, this is a figurative yard. I'm not talking about the 2.8 acres that you live on. I'm talking about an actual figurative yard around your life. And it is supposed to be surrounded with a fence that hopefully is not some 6-foot concrete thick fence that you can't see anybody on the outside of, but rather a fence where you can still see people and converse and talk, but not necessarily everybody can walk into your yard and get personal and intimate with you. And one of the things that we talk about this with our kids, and this will give you perspective, is if I'm dealing something with Addie maybe, and Rylan wants to jump in, and I'm like, hey, listen, it's not your yard. You don't need to worry about what I'm talking about with Addie. This is her yard. This is not your yard, so get out of it. You're not always invited to be in everyone else's yard, even though we like to think we are. And so I want to encourage you all to think about where's your yard and your fence and who's on the inside of that fence. Do you open up the gate for everybody? Are you pretty picky about who you let in? What does your grass look like? What does your yard look like? Is it just jumbled and messed up and the grass can't grow and there's not a pretty flower in it and you don't like the way the front porch looks? Tell me about your fence. Tell me about your yard. And it's reflective probably of how well you're taking care of your yard and who you're letting too close into that yard. And it's the same thing with other people. I think often Chris and I had to deal with this early in our marriage, that I wanted to get in his yard. I wanted to tell him what he should plant and how he should plant it and when he should water it and what fertilizer to use. He didn't need me to do that because it's his yard and he's more than capable of taking care of his own yard. And yes, sometimes we will give each other some feedback, but if they don't ask for that feedback, sometimes we've got to be careful how we give that feedback. And the whole point of this is so that we can become healthy individuals again and have some likening of our own yard, where we wake up in the morning and we think, I like my life, I like my yard, and I push that person on the other side of the fence because he's not good in my yard, and all he does is pee all over the place and turn the grass yellow and dig up my pretty flowers, and that's a toxic person that doesn't need to be inside my fence and living in my yard with me. And but also how critical you are with other people. How many yards are you in that you ought not to be? How many people's lives are you making your business when your yard probably needs somebody taking care of it instead of you trying to take care of somebody else's yard? It's that whole judge thing. I'm just talking about not judging and being over the judging and being over the critical, but we often forget that we are also very critical of other people and we're very judging of other people, and we want to tell them how they ought to be living their lives. Listen, we don't know each other's backstories. We don't know what's happening inside the houses that is inside that yard, that is inside that fence. Only the people that live in that house, only that one person knows exactly what's going on and what that backstory is. So my encouragement to you is take charge of your yard first. Love yourself enough to care for your yard, to only allow people in it who help build your yard up and to make your yard beautiful and to make your yard the best yard it can be. Then do the same for other people. If you don't need to be in their yard, get out. Don't bother their yard. Let them handle their yard. And if they need you, they'll let you know. And when you get to go in that yard, you need to make sure that you're only full of water and fertilizer and not taking it and digging it up and killing the grass. So that's my encouragement to you today. It kind of all goes around the whole love your neighbor as yourself theme. If we'll love ourselves enough to take care of our own yards, then we'll be what we need to be for loving other people in their yards. I hope you guys have a great week. And just know that we here at Be Still, Be Free do really, truly care about each and every one of you. Have a great day.